River Oaks is what happens when oil executives decide to create their own kingdom, and nobody can stop them because they control the energy that powers the country. This isn't new money learning how to be rich. This is fourth-generation wealth that's forgotten what being poor even means. The 77019 zip code operates as Houston's ultimate flex, where homes start at $5 million and can hit $50 million without anyone batting an eye. Richard Kinder, worth $32 billion from building Kinder Morgan into an energy infrastructure empire, represents the visible tip of wealth so concentrated that the neighborhood grocery store probably processes more net worth per square foot than most private banks. These aren't mansions you can see from the street. Long driveways disappear behind gates and giant oaks, where properties span multiple acres in a city where land actually matters. The houses themselves read like museums: Italian Renaissance villas, French chateaux, Georgian estates that require full-time staff just to water the plants. The River Oaks Country Club hosts the Shell Houston Open and provides the social infrastructure where energy executives discuss oil futures while pretending to care about their golf handicaps. Membership is invitation only naturally, because when your neighborhood controls America's energy supply, you can afford to be selective about who joins your golf games. River Oaks is where the people who actually built Houston live, explained one energy executive. These are families whose wealth came from underneath the ground. They're not trying to be famous. They already own the city. The River Oaks Theater shows independent films to people who could buy the entire theater chain as a weekend impulse purchase. Benji's serves $40 steaks for lunch, not dinner lunch, where energy professionals treat business meetings like casual dining. The neighborhood's proximity to downtown means oil executives can commute to their corporate headquarters in 12 minutes, assuming traffic cooperates and their drivers are competent. But here's what nobody tells you. River Oaks isn't growing. It's finished. Every lot is occupied. Every estate is claimed, and the only way to buy in is waiting for someone to die or get divorced. The exclusivity is mathematical. Finite land plus infinite demand equals prices that only energy tycoons can stomach. Westlake Hills is where California tech money moved when it realized that Austin offered everything Silicon Valley had except the taxes, regulations, and traffic. Elon Musk didn't just move to Texas. He validated an entire migration pattern that's turned Austin into Silicon Hills, with a 90% millionaire growth rate that makes every other Texas city look stagnant. The lakefront estates overlook Lake Austin, with property values ranging from $2 million for the starter mansions to $15 million for compounds that could host small conferences. Michael Dell maintains a waterfront estate here, the physical manifestation of building a tech empire in Austin before it was cool, then watching everyone else copy the playbook 20 years later. Barton Creek runs through the area, providing natural boundaries that create instant exclusivity. You're either lakeside or you're not. And if you're not, you're probably living somewhere lesser mortals consider expensive. The Tennis Ranch estates feature private courts because public tennis clubs are for people who haven't sold companies for 9 figures. Austin Country Club maintains the old money Austin infrastructure, where fourth-generation Texas families awkwardly mix with tech executives whose net worth exceeds the club's entire membership combined. The collision creates fascinating tension. People whose families have been members since 1960 sitting across from people who made more money in one stock option vest than their entire family accumulated in a century. Trulux serves Gulf crab to people who fly private to get here, while Uchi offers omakase experiences where the chef personally explains each piece to diners who expense the $400 per person meal to companies they own. The dining scene caters to people who think San Francisco restaurants aren't good enough and New York restaurants aren't close enough. Whole Foods' flagship store operates 5 minutes away in downtown Austin, providing organic produce to people whose personal chefs do the actual shopping. The headquarters location means you're buying groceries in the same store where the company executives test new products. It's corporate synergy disguised as weekend errands. Westlake Hills transformed from an expensive Austin suburb to tech enclave in exactly 18 months, observed one real estate agent tracking the California exodus. Elon moves Tesla headquarters. Suddenly, every venture capitalist wants Austin real estate. Properties that sold for $3 million in 2019 are getting $8 million offers in 2024. The math stopped making sense, but tech money doesn't care about math. It cares about taxes. 6 independent villages: Piney Point, Bunker Hill, Spring Valley, Hedwig, Hillshire, Hunters Creek, operating as Houston's worst-kept secret among people who actually matter. This is where energy wealth goes to hide from people who think River Oaks is the only game in town. The bayou running through Memorial creates a natural moat that's more effective than any gate. You're either inside the villages or you're not, and if you're not, you probably can't afford the property taxes on land that was worthless swamp 50 years ago but now commands millions per acre. Tree-lined streets with canopies so thick that Google Street View can barely capture the houses create instant privacy. Memorial Park provides 1,500 acres of recreational space, where ultra-wealthy families jog on trails that wind through golf courses and tennis centers. The Eastern Glades renovation added $200 million in improvements funded by private donations, aka wealthy residents who wanted better parks and had enough money to do it. Brennan's of Houston serves Creole cuisine in a Victorian mansion where the Sunday jazz brunch costs more than most people's weekly grocery budget, but feels like a neighborhood spot to the local highfalutin families. Wheezy's Table offers Southern comfort food elevated to price points that only make sense if you're expensing meals to energy companies. The Memorial Athletic Club provides fitness infrastructure where annual dues exceed new car payments and nobody blinks. Personal trainers, spa services, and tennis courts create an environment where staying fit requires the same financial commitment most people reserve for housing. But here's the catch. Memorial villages operate under their own municipal governments, maintaining independent police forces and zoning regulations that ensure nobody builds anything that might attract regular people. It's wealth protection through bureaucracy. The Woodlands isn't where energy wealth performs. It's where energy wealth operates. Chevron Phillips Chemical, Anadarko, and ExxonMobil built corporate campuses so extensive that employees never need to leave. The result? Executives worth hundreds of millions living 30 miles north of Houston because their commute is 10 minutes instead of 45. This is master plan development taken to its logical extreme. 28,000 acres, where every street, park, and shopping center was designed before construction started. Home prices range from $400,000 to $10 million for estates overlooking golf courses and lakes that didn't exist before developers started building. The Woodlands Country Club offers 3 championship courses where energy professionals network while pretending to care about bogeys. The Palmer, Fazio, and Player courses provide varying difficulty for people whose handicaps matter less than their company positions. Trulux serves Gulf seafood to people who flew private from downtown, while Grotto brings Italian fine dining to a suburb most Houstonians consider too far north. The restaurant scene mirrors downtown luxury because executives worth hundreds of millions refuse to compromise on dining quality for suburban convenience. Random stat: the Woodlands generates more energy sector income per capita than any other Houston suburb, creating wealth concentration rivaling River Oaks money, but with newer houses and more parking. Highland Park is what happens when corporations relocate headquarters and bring senior executives worth $50 million to $500 million who aren't quite wealthy enough to be somewhere better. This sounds harsh until you realize that Dallas has 72,000 millionaires but lacks a single tech titan or energy empire founder. It's a city built on corporate ladder climbing rather than entrepreneurial wealth creation. The neighborhood incorporated as an independent municipality in 1913, maintaining its own police force and zoning regulations that ensure nothing changes, because change might mean encountering regular citizens. AT&T CBRE, American Airlines executives live in estates priced from $1 to $10 million, treating the neighborhood as a necessary evil for maintaining proximity to corporate offices while avoiding actual Dallas. Highland Park Village, Wasson operates as the Southwest's first shopping center, featuring Hermes, Dior, and Chanel, because apparently, senior executives need luxury retail within walking distance. The Spanish Renaissance architecture creates an aesthetic that screams, "We're trying very hard to look old money," while serving people whose wealth is exactly 3 stock option grants old. The Dallas Country Club provides golf and social infrastructure where members discuss quarterly earnings calls. The networking happens on fairways where people whose net worth tops out at $100 million pretend they belong in the same category as the actual ultra-wealthy Texans living in Austin or Houston. Mi Cocina serves Tex-Mex to people who think it's ethnic food, while Hillstone offers American cuisine at price points that make regular people gasp. Highland Park is wealthy, but it's corporate wealthy, admitted one wealth advisor. These are successful executives, but they're not owners. They're not founders. They made money working for other people's companies. That's fundamentally different from Houston energy wealth or Austin tech wealth. It's still rich, just not the same kind of rich. Dallas has millionaires working for companies, Azio and Crenshaw. Club membership requires separate initiation fees that naturally filter for people whose wealth makes $100,000 membership costs feel like routine expenses rather than major financial commitments. Barton Creek Country Club provides social infrastructure where tech founders discuss their next ventures while walking fairways. The clubhouse serves meals that cost more than most people's weekly grocery budgets. The spa offers treatments that sound absurd. $400 massages, $600 facials, until you remember that for people worth 9 figures, time is the only scarce resource. And paying premium rates for convenience is just math. Travasa Austin provides boutique luxury resort experiences for people who live 5 minutes away but want to feel like they're on vacation. The proximity to downtown means tech executives can host potential investors at resorts that showcase Austin's appeal while maintaining the professional distance. The catch? Barton Creek's exclusivity creates isolation. You're surrounded by people exactly like you, wealthy, successful, tech-adjacent, which sounds appealing until you realize that every conversation eventually circles back to the same topics: valuations, exits, and how much Tesla stock everyone should be holding. Preston Hollow operates as Dallas's ultimate enclave for people who made money working at companies rather than founding them. And the distinction matters more than residents want to admit. This is where senior executives worth $20 to $200 million live in gated estates and pretend that corporate ladder climbing is the same as entrepreneurial wealth creation. George W. Bush lived here after leaving the presidency, adding political credibility to a neighborhood that desperately wanted recognition. Mark Cuban maintained a Preston Hollow home before realizing that Dallas corporate culture wasn't actually his scene. The homes range from $2 to $8 million for properties that include guest houses, pools, and tennis courts that nobody actually uses. The aesthetic skews Mediterranean. Lots of stucco, red tile roofs, and imported landscaping that requires full-time maintenance because apparently native Texas plants aren't fancy enough. Northwood Club Golf Course hosts charity tournaments that function as business networking disguised as philanthropy, where the real value isn't the golf, but the relationships formed with other executives. The French Room at the Adolphus serves fine dining to Preston Hollow residents who treat $200 per person meals as routine business dinners, while Nick and Sam's Steakhouse offers premium beef to people whose expense accounts are limitless. Preston Hollow Elementary ranks among Dallas's top public schools, creating the unique situation where ultra-wealthy families send their children to public school specifically because the property taxes they pay ensure that public means de facto private